Well, for the first time here in 2025, it is so good to be back with our Game Day Everyday podcast family. With Rob Higgins, I am Ryan Bass. It is so good to have everybody here. So much going on here in 2025 and, of course, in the years to come. But it is certainly a good start to the year, and we've got a lot on the docket here in the first couple of months of 2025. Rob, how you feeling, buddy? New year, same us, but so much to look forward to.
Yeah, doing well. It has definitely been game day every day for the past 3 weeks of 2025. What I should say is the first 3 weeks of 2025. I'm excited to dive into some of the great announcements we've had recently, some of the great events that we have coming up. It's an exciting 2025 and beyond for Team Tampa Bay, that's for sure.
It's going to be such an incredible year as we look to what we've got coming up in the next couple of months. And of course, the early part of 2026 as well. Coming up on this episode, we'll dive into Lionel Messi, the GOAT, making his appearance here in Tampa and the preparations that have begun for that. We'll get into some of the events coming up here in the next few months. The Savannah Bananas, of course, playing in Tampa. The women's Final Four returning to Amalie Arena. The Sneaker Soirees at the end of this month. And then, of course, the big announcement with the Stadium Series and the National Hockey League being focused on the Sunshine State of Florida. Who says Florida isn't home to hockey? Not any longer. So certainly going to be exciting. Let's start first, Rob. I know you've been jet setting all across the country, including a trip out to Las Vegas. You got a chance to see Lionel Messi in person ahead of his appearance playing with my Inter Miami FC and the Orlando City Soccer Club, of course. The Florida Derby is going to be on Valentine's Day, so quite the way to show your love to the greatest of all time on February 14th at Ray J. But you had a chance to see Messi's first preseason game of the season at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. How was the atmosphere, and how was it seeing the GOAT in person?
It was awesome. To be fair, I was actually on the fence about whether or not we were going to make the trip. We were already in Atlanta for this year's College Football Playoff National Championship and decided to, fairly like a week out or so, fairly late in the game, make a very quick trip to Sin City. It was a 24-hour round trip from Atlanta. It included an early morning 6:30 a.m. flight out and then a red eye back that got us back to Atlanta at 6:30 Atlanta time. So 24 hours. I really was glad that we decided to do it. There's no way that you can understand the Lionel Messi phenomenon without seeing it firsthand. I've had plenty of people that describe it to me. I've had plenty of people share with me that it's truly unprecedented and one of a kind. When you're in the position that we are, and we've seen, not hundreds, but thousands of events. We've seen some of the greatest of all time in their sport. We've seen events of all shapes and sizes. I can tell you, this is unlike anything that I've ever seen. From witnessing at the team hotel, hundreds of people lining up to hopefully catch a glimpse that, oh, by the way, they did not catch because of security being as tight as it naturally should be, to the people getting in the stands early to be able to see him warm up, to hanging around late, hoping to catch another glimpse of him after he's walking off the field. It is incredible. And I am just so excited for our community, for our community's kids, for the timeless soccer legends that we've had around our community that helped start with the original Rowdies. I mean, there's just I'm pumped for everybody involved. I mean, it truly is this once in a lifetime opportunity. So to have him coming, as well as the entire Inter Miami cast, as well as our good friends right down the road with Orlando City, this is going to be a spectacle that you don't want to miss come February 14th at Raymond James Stadium.
It was fun following you on social media and seeing some of your posts, witnessing Messi, and whether it be, walking down the tunnel to take the field or his arrival in Vegas. He did actually score in that game too, which, I'm sure sent the crowd into a frenzy. Rob, when you're watching, you obviously have a different lens and perspective than any fan would have, or really anybody that's on the field, right? What notes do you take away what does this trip and this experience, how does it prepare you to make sure that our event coming up on February 14th, where Messi will be in our city, get a chance to take in our town, our fans will be able to watch him from all over the country that are descending on Tampa. What notes do you take away that we can apply to make our event maybe even better than you even imagined?
Absolutely. I mean, Tony and I looked at it from every aspect that we possibly could. Everything from stadium security to transportation to game production, just the way the overall event flowed, to what took place on the video boards and field LED, warm-ups, halftime. I mean, you name it. We really tried to study every aspect possible. And then naturally, what happens from there are stadium folks at the Tampa Sports Authority, who do such a great job. Already were in communication yesterday with the Allegiant Stadium team to download a lot of their best practices and key learnings as well. So we all have our individual lens on it. We all try to study it. Again, just really glad that we had the opportunity to see it firsthand. I can tell you, it is going to be such a unique experience for our community.
Super excited that you had a chance to experience that. I think it only gives you a perspective of the Messi Mania that is about to descend on our community, and that our folks here in Tampa Bay will get to witness quite a historic event. Last thing, Rob, just in terms of tickets, I know folks have been excited. I know you had sent out a post with kind of a link to Ticketmaster, but for those that maybe are thinking, well, I'm going to get my loved one the best Valentine's Day gift possible, and that would be an opportunity to see Messi. How do they do so?
Tickets are moving. I mean, like I said, I've been around a lot of events, fortunately, here, and I can tell you the pace at which it's selling is really strong and certainly exceeding our expectations. You can go on to soccerintempabay.com and be able to get to Ticketmaster from there. That's going to be a great resource for you in terms of everything to expect when it comes to the event. We're going to have a Fan Fest pregame where folks can get to the stadium early, be a part of a lot of different activations, and then be able to get in the stands as part of the overall match as well. I mean, to be one of only two Inter-Miami preseason matches taking place in the United States is phenomenal. And we can't wait to see Messi take the field. He had quite the performance, as you referenced, the other night. Played 65 minutes, which I know there's a lot of questions about, is he going to play and how much is he going to play? I mean, the man played 65 minutes the other night in Vegas, scored a goal, as you referenced. Place went absolutely bananas. It's just something you got to be a part of and you got to see. And the way to do that, again, is to log on to soccerintempabay.com.
40,000 plus got a chance to witness Messi.
45 over 45. I mean, and it was, people got there early and were lined up. The atmosphere, you could not tell that it was a preseason match. It was intense. It was fun. And we expect more of the same here come the night of February 14th at Raymond James Stadium.
And we know Vegas certainly does it well, and as do we here in Tampa Bay. So certainly excited, Rob, for February 14th. It'll be here just a couple of weeks away. So if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, guys, soccerintempabay.com, log on and make sure you get to witness Messi in person, the GOAT here in Tampa Bay. One of the announcements that came about, Rob, which I know was certainly exciting and has been such a coronation, if you will, of the hard work that you and your team and our city has done to put us in this position, is the Stadium Series announcement that came out, which is going to be so awesome. The Tampa Bay Lightning are going to be hosting the Boston Bruins outdoors at Raymond James Stadium for the NHL Stadium Series. That's going to be on February 1st, 2026. So we are almost exactly 1 year away from that landmark event. And, it's really, Rob, it's going to be a month-long celebration of hockey in our state. You've got, down in Miami, of course, the Panthers and the Rangers are going to take part in the Winter Classic. And then, less than a month later, it'll be the Stadium Series here in Tampa. I remember, Rob, when I had a chance to go to Nashville. It was actually the first weekend I had moved up there back in 2022 and witnessed the Predators and the Lightning in the outdoor Stadium Series that took place in the Music City, and the excitement and the buzz, and how many Lightning fans traveled up to Nashville to take part in that experience. And now to be able to finally host this in culmination with Gasparilla as well. I mean, if you thought 2018 was nuts with the NHL All-Star Game, I cannot wait to see the buzz and the excitement that's in town come February 1st, 2026.
It's going to be truly incredible. It was, as you referenced, a long time coming. We had been working on the event for over 10 years and really want to start by giving our, hats off to Mr. Vinnick and Steve Grigg and everybody at the Lightning franchise who over the last 10 years have worked on our pursuit of this event. About 9.5 years ago, back in 2016, we submitted our bid and our vision for hosting a stadium series in our community. We actually submitted the bid in Yeti coolers that said, we know how to keep ice cold too. Naturally, the overall event, people are wondering, how is the ice going to work here in Tampa, Florida? How's an outdoor hockey going? How's an outdoor hockey game going to be able to truly work? And so it took a lot of meetings. It took a lot of, improvement in technology. It took creative thinking. It took a unique partnership and just a partnership of diligence when it comes to making sure that we all were dotting the I's and crossing the T's with our good friends at the NHL. I want to give a lot of credit to Steve Mayer and Dean and Regina and their whole team, Commissioner Bettman, who just worked with us hand in hand to get to the point in time where we could all be confident that it would work at a really high level. From there, I mentioned the Yeti coolers back in 2016. Then we hosted NHL All-Star and just loved, again, our partnership with the NHL in 2018 when we hosted that weekend on top of Gasparilla, and we're able to mold those two events together and expose a whole new audience to Gasparilla as part of it. And as the fans and our friends at the NHL headed to the airport, we basically sent them a message on a billboard that showed a rendering of what, an initial rendering, certainly that'll continue to evolve, of what the inside of Raymond James Stadium would look like for Stadium Series. And we basically had the message of, let's think outside the box this next time. The box being, let's get outside for the first time with an outdoor game here in Florida. So from there, again, a ton of meetings, ton of emails, ton of communication to get to the point where we finally were able to get it across the finish line. And we could not be more excited to be able to host in 2026. It will take place similar to that playbook with the All-Star Game on Gasparilla weekend. What better way to celebrate Tampa, celebrate this, incredible sport of hockey than to do it in that way with the Stadium Series game itself taking place on that Sunday night. So as you can tell, we're pumped. It is many years in the making, and it's going to be a truly incredible weekend.
It truly, what I want and want our listeners and want people to appreciate and understand is the creativity and work that goes in, not just from your your team's perspective, Rob, and presenting the bid, but from the community as a whole and all of our partners to imagine what things like this will look like and the leadership that's required to have that forward thinking vision and to now have it come to fruition. Can you just take us into how excited the NHL was to see what this could be? And this will be I think it's also cool, the 45th outdoor game in league history when it happens. So I like the kind of that number as well for 45 being here in our area, and just kind of what goes into that innovative thinking, Rob, to make something like this possible here in the Sunshine State.
Well, I think you look back too at this last decade of hockey in the state of Florida and just how incredible both franchises have been, from the Lightning to the Panthers, these Stanley Cup runs for each of the franchises. So to have this, what'll be a month-long celebration of hockey in our community that kicks off down in Miami and then winds up here with Raymond James Stadium and an actual outdoor game is awesome. And I think it really goes back to your question. I think it speaks volumes to the partnership that we do have with the NHL and their willingness to be, a creative and thoughtful partner. Their team has been incredible throughout. I don't think it was ever a question of if It was more a question of when. And for the timing to have worked out like it did, and for it to be able to take place in 2026 is perfect. And it's something that we are going to work really hard over this next 13 months to make sure it goes off without a hitch.
Certainly proud of what we've done here in our community, to be able to put us in a position to do this, and obviously the on ice success of the Lightning being one of the greatest franchises in hockey really over the last decade plus, and then the Panthers of course winning the Stanley Cup last year. I think put our state in a position to host this, and I love there's been some intricate reporting too, Rob, on just kind of the way that there's like that tenant structure in a warehouse, and how they're going to kind of protect the ice in a temperature controlled environment before the game. I know that a lot of people are thinking, again, wait a minute, outdoor, what if it's 80 degrees? What if it's raining? There are plans in place to protect the ice and make sure that it's playing condition leading up to that game in 2026.
Yeah, right. I don't know if you noticed, but ever since we announced on January 8th, for the last 2 weeks, we announced it 2 weeks ago today, it has been absolutely freezing. So, like, we promise that it's going to be cold, and we deliver. I mean, we're a year out, and we're already practicing. I mean, I don't know, the Panhandle in the last 24 hours. My son's up at Florida State, like, he's getting snow, and I think that's probably a direct correlation to the Stadium Series announcement. But in all seriousness, we will come back here in the next couple months with a press conference that's dedicated specifically to this, to get into a lot of the intricate details about what's going to happen, how it's going to happen. We obviously wanted to make sure that we rolled out from a standpoint of the who, what, when, where, and now coming in the not too distant future, we'll certainly shine a light on, in tandem with the NHL, a light on the how of it all. But I can promise you that how has been worked on for a lot of different years, and with a lot of different meetings and a lot of different experts all weighing in to make sure that it's going to go off in a really profound way and be ultra successful.
And there's no doubt that our city knows how to throw a party and put on a major event. Given the fact that we're now going to have this Stadium Series. Of course, we've had Super Bowls, college football national championship games, WrestleMania has been here, and of course, women's Final Fours as well, which brings me to our next topic, Rob, which is, of course, our big events coming up in March and April. Of course, in March, the Savannah Bananas will be returning here to the Tampa Bay area. I had a chance with you and your team to witness them last year when they came to Steinbrenner Field. This time around, of course, with things happening at Tropicana Field, and that building, obviously, with the devastation from Hurricane Milton, moving to Raymond James Stadium. It's going to be awesome to have that event and have Savannah Bananas here outdoors. And then, of course, the women's Final Four for a record fourth time will be here at Amalie Arena on the 4th and the 6th. Let's start with the Savannah Bananas, Rob, and our team's preparations. We know how bananas of an event this is, how excited our community is. It is must-see in terms of experiencing the Bananas and their world tour, and so excited to welcome them back again.
Oh, we're pumped about this one as well. To be the first ever NFL stadium that the Bananas play is amazing. So we're looking forward to March 15th at Raymond James Stadium. Our good friends Jesse Cole and our entire Bananas family, I can promise you, they are working on big plans for what's going to be a really big venue, and the biggest venue that they've played up to this point. They'll then go on and play 2 more NFL stadiums throughout the Banana Ball World Tour. With Charlotte and Nashville. They've got 17 Major League Baseball stadiums. Last year they had 6, and now they've moved on to 17. And then they're playing Clemson, 81,000 seat Clemson. So the Savannah Bananas just continue to grow. We feel so fortunate to have gotten in really at the ground floor, hosting 2 games 2 years ago, 3 games last year, and then now to be their first ever NFL stadium. It's already sold out. I mean, Bananas tickets are as hard to come by as any out on the market. But those that were fortunate to be able to score tickets, if you were one of those 65,000 people, they're in for a real treat. It's I've get a chance to talk to Jesse on a regular basis, and he's just so pumped to be able to come here for their first ever NFL stadium game.
That's going to be awesome. If last year was an appetizer to what we've seen, and it was an incredible show, I can't even imagine what they've got planned for Raymond James Stadium coming up here on March 15th. So certainly excited to have the Bananas here in town yet again, and to have our community rallying around them like they have. And then April, of course, we will be Championship Central yet again, Rob. I remember, and I've shared with you and our audience my memories of covering the women's Final Four and how exhilarating it was, how passionate the fans are, and the excitement of us being the destination. And now, for a record fourth time, we're going to be hosting the NCAA Women's Final Four coming up at Amalie Arena on April 4th and April 6th. I know your team has been preparing for years, not months, but years, to host this event and bring it back to our community. I know we're kind of in the final stages of prep. I know the season obviously is underway for women's college basketball. So, what is the planning stages of where we're at now, and how do we gear up and get ready to host a world-class event in April?
Well, I mean, despite it being our record fourth, it really feels like our first. And it probably feels that way with the NCAA as well, because if you haven't been to our community since 2019, you're not going to recognize this. And then certainly the championship, the NCAA Women's Final Four, has grown tremendously and has evolved a ton over these last 6 years. So you've got these two entities who have truly transformed since the last time we were together, and we're excited to be able to lean into that as a partnership. So it's going to be incredibly special. I can tell you there's probably 3 or 4 meetings going on right now as we speak in our office specific to women's Final Four. Claire Lessinger and our women's Final Four advisory committee and all of our team are really leaning into it and going to make it special. Every time we have an opportunity to host an event multiple times, we really try as hard as we can to raise the bar. And I can tell you, based off the planning that's taken place up to this point, and that'll take place over these next 2 months, it's going to be a women's Final Four like no one has ever seen before. And again, we could not be more excited for it.
Back in 2019 at Amalie, we had Baylor, Notre Dame, UConn, and Oregon, which were the teams that participated in that tournament. And this year, I mean, you look at the women's basketball college rankings right now in the AP. I mean, UCLA, South Carolina, Notre Dame, USC, LSU, UConn, Texas, Maryland, TCU, Kansas State round out the top 10. We've got some really, really good quality college basketball programs that have an opportunity, Rob, to play for a championship here in Tampa. And obviously a lot of things can happen between them, but when you mention the likes of some of those historic programs, especially the reigning champs in South Carolina, boy, is it going to be a special time come April 4th and 6th here at Amalie.
Yeah, it's a culmination of what's going to be an awesome season. It's already been an amazing season, and we're only to mid to late January. I can't imagine what's going to take place over these next 2 months on the court. It's really anybody's game. The 4 that make it here, nobody can tell who it'll be yet, and I think that's what makes it so special. But this is a community that really appreciates women's basketball. They've come out and celebrated the 3 previous times, but now you look with the growth of the game, I think our community is going to be even more amped up when it comes to early April, just a couple months down the road.
I can't wait. And I know your team and Claire, led by Claire, are certainly diligently preparing to host, for the best college basketball programs in the women's game come April. So that's certainly exciting. And Rob, just over a week from now, I'm certainly stoked for what is a world-class event in its own right in terms of the Sneaker Soiree. And this year, of course, it's going to be back with our friends at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Tampa. This is one of my favorite events of the year. I was so upset I had to miss it last year for a Magic game that I was doing. I'm so excited to be a part of some of the content production for this year's event and to be there as well, and for some surprises that'll be in along the way for this event. Rob, I can't tell you from the bottom of my heart how much I love this community event, how much we highlight some of the best and brightest with our Community Hero Awards and really the honors that we bestow upon those in our community that deserve it each and every year. I'm excited, and I know you are too, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of my favorite nights every year. It's our 13th annual Tampa Bay Sneaker Soiree. It's already sold out, just as it's never gone to public sale. It always sells out well in advance. The same, amazing companies that support it every year and individuals that support it every year, enjoy the event so much that they opt in again for the current year. So it is going to be a really powerful night. Our community, there's no doubt that we've been through a lot over these last 365 days. Some great things, some things not so great. And that's what the evening will showcase as a sports community, the roller coaster that's taken place since our 12th Tampa Bay Sneaker Soiree. So there's going to be laughs, there's going to be tears, there's going to be thought-provoking stories, inspirational stories, and it's going to be just an amazing celebration of Team Tampa Bay. There's so many, current players, past players, legends, everybody coming together for what's going to be an awesome night. That's for sure.
I can't wait for it. I'm excited that I'm going to get to be there in person again this year.
Yeah,
Rob,
we're not as excited that you could make it this year. It's one of those things when we invited you, like last year, there was a little bit of a celebration in the office, and we're like, oh, he's got a magic game. But then this year, we're like, I can make it. We're like, oh, good.
great. We're excited to have you, buddy.
Ryan's
Yeah, it's going to be great.
making an appearance at it. Perfect.
This is great. We're super stoked.
Now we have to staff up with all the
exactly. Well, I need
that
security, by
follows
the way,
you.
too.
You
Yeah.
all the paparazzi that follows you around. I mean, it's like the Messi experience, basically.
Oh, without question.
You're the garage that's coming.
I've already put in, as you know, and as the loyal listeners here know, I'm a man of many requests, and so I've also put in so many requests with you. But I'm going to add one more because I wasn't aware of this Yeti cooler story back when you presented it to the NHL. So my formal request is I would like one of these Yeti coolers delivered, to the Hard Rock, so that way I can have that. Because look, we know I'm gonna have a great time at the event, and so I would love to carry around a nice little Yeti cooler, to be able to spread cheer to those that are at the event. And so I'm sure we can make that happen.
I'm actually headed to the Hard Rock this afternoon for a walkthrough. I plan to show them your headshot, make sure that you have zero backstage access. You, out of all the dozens and dozens of tables, I can't wait for you to see what your seat's like. The only thing, we'll provide the Yeti, but you may want to bring the binoculars so that you
can see what's
happening on stage. But no, it's going to be a great night. Certainly our next episode, we'll plan to recap it for the listeners, because the stories, again, I'm so excited to shine a light on these amazing individuals and families, some of which you may have heard of, some of which you may not have heard of, because what they have done and what they continue to do is phenomenal, and it deserves a showcase night like the soiree is going to provide.
And if it's anything like the 12 we've had previously, I know it's going to be an amazing night to celebrate and to honor those around our community. Rob, a lot of busy months ahead, my friend. I know you are certainly staying busy, as is your team. I do think, given all the red eyes you've been on recently, a little shut eye is advised before we get to the busy time as we are here. So, my friend, get your rest, because we're gearing up for quite the year here in 2025 for our community.
Absolutely. It's going to be awesome. We appreciate all of Team Tampa Bay for your support. Let's keep this roll going.